Hello, Take the Lead team, and to all those in attendance today. My name is Chris Schembra. I'm broadcasting live from beautiful New York City. I'm a former lonely guy, a guy who has seen the ups and downs of life, fell in love with the principles of gratitude, and have used the dinner table to spark over 500,000 relationships in the last 5 years. I'm the author of Gratitude and Pasta, the secret sauce for human connection that Forbes calls the #2 book of 2020 to create human connection. And I'm honored to be with you all here today. We stumbled upon gratitude in July of 2015. If you looked at my life back then, it looked completely different. I was, achieving pretty good things. My life looked pretty good on paper, as so many of y'all's looks today. But that tipping point moment occurred when I had just returned back to New York City after producing a Broadway play over in Rome, Italy, and Rome had changed my entire life. You know, it was the food, it was the culture, it was the art, it was the history, it was the love, it was the way they walked and talked, and it changed my life. When I got back to New York City, I realized this ain't it. I need to do something about this. See, just because life looks good on paper doesn't mean it feels good in the heart, and that's probably why you signed up for this conference, this program to begin with. And, I thought back in that lonely, unfulfilled, dark place. What was it about Rome that changed my life? It was the food. So I started playing around in my kitchen, accidentally created a pasta sauce recipe. Figured I should probably feed it to people to see if it's even good or not. So night after night, week after week, month after month, we started gathering people. And eventually the dinner table saved my life. But upon further inspection, we realized it wasn't the pasta sauce at all. No, it's what we talked about every dinner, and that's gratitude. See, at that very first dinner, we asked a simple question. If you could give credit or thanks to one person in your life that you don't give enough credit or thanks to, who would that be? Notice I didn't ask you what your biggest fear or failure is. We're giving you the platform to tell a story about others, and we can live a life based on serving others instead of talking about yourself. You really get ahead in life and feel a lot of sense of well-being, connection, and purpose. What does gratitude actually have to do with leadership? I think everything. Gratitude is one of the greatest determinants on what will become a great servant leader. See, gratitude instills humility. Gratitude is the acknowledgement that you've received something of value from others, that you don't know it all. And that's the first step to leadership, is removing the ego and empowering those around you to be the best version of yourself. A good leader is a guide, not a hero. So to be a good leader, you have to be humble. Gratitude is a great dosage of humility. They say that people that are humble, people with great humility, don't think less of themselves. They just think about themselves less. See, being a leader doesn't mean you're the best at what you do. It doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room. It means that you know how to empower those around you to be the best that they can become. And the good thing about leadership is it can be developed over time. That's what makes, this Take the Lead program so great. But gratitude is inspiring, right? It's not a reactive thing. It's something that's scientifically proven to broaden and build your brain's thought action repertoire needed for positive affect. See, people want to be associated with leaders that have positive perspectives, positive emotions. And gratitude is one of the only things besides mindfulness and positive psychology that has a lasting impact after a micro intervention. So gratitude instills hope, optimism, self-confidence, self-efficacy, and allows you to do your job even better. What can a leader do to help their teams be more grateful? Um, I mean, I think I think it starts with the ability to allow your team to stop, pause, and reflect on where they've come and the blessings that they have along the way, the tough times that they've gotten through. So often, leaders spend their entire time focused in the future. Now, the problem with always looking ahead to the future is that the future is filled with great doubt and uncertainty. And it's very natural as a leader to take the stress and the anxiety of the unknown and bring it to communicate with your peers. See, gratitude is the opposite of looking ahead to the future. Gratitude is about pausing and taking a reflection on where you've come. Yeah, positive things have happened in your life, negative things have happened in your life, but even the grateful processing of the positive consequences that have occurred from a negative autobiographical life experience, you can actually learn from. So giving your team time to actually reflect and connect is paramount. I'll use, a dear friend, Cynthia, who is VP of product of a wonderful company with many thousands of employees that serves hundreds of thousands of customers. Just recently, we did a team building experience with her, and we did it as a morning session, gratitude morning goodness. She told her team at the onset of that this would be the start of a full day of learning for them. Well, what she didn't tell them until the last 10 minutes of the experience is that she was giving them the entire day off. Shut off the emails, shut off your phones, forward anything you need to anybody that wasn't on that call. Go enjoy nature. Take time to be with yourself. That's the most important thing a leader can do, is give their team space to be grateful. So, talk about my gratitude practice. I will be the first to tell you I have the worst gratitude practice. Maybe not the worst, but there's always room for improvement. That's the important thing with gratitude, is it's all about progress, not perfection. See, in emotional intelligence, it doesn't have to be something you're born with. You can develop it slowly over time, and don't rush the process. So the most important aspect of my gratitude practice is to accept that if I miss an exercise, it's not the end of the world. Just the acknowledgement that you still have room to grow, to develop a constant life learning attitude, I think is the best part of our practice. But, I actually, we invest as a team very heavily on outside consultants to come in and help us with our own gratitude practice, right? We built a company on gratitude to help others, which means that doesn't make us perfect. That means that we need the same amount of help. We are a team that does a daily huddle every morning, at the start of the morning, and we actually list what we're grateful for from the previous day and what we need help with for today, what challenges we're needing to overcome. So the great Chad Pennington, quarterback of the New York Jets, once said, the only way to accomplish the big goals and the big wins is to accomplish the small goals and celebrate them on a consistent basis. Focus equals growth. On Sunday, January 24th, 2016, I was sitting in an apartment with my dear friend Dave Lindsay, who had grown a $500 million a year home security company. And he looked at me at a pivotal time in my life. I just left running a theater company, and we just went snow sledding for the day, and we went up to his apartment overlooking Central Park. And he said, "So what are you going to do next?" I said, "Well, we just won all these Tonys in theater. We just won these Emmys with our social media. We just did this and this and this. And I got these dinners." And he said, "What's the worst market opportunity of any of the things you could do?" I said, "Probably building a company around the dinner table." He said, "Okay. What do you think the thing your parents would pester you about if you chose that path?" I said, "Probably the thing around the dinner table." He said, "What is your heart most connected to?" Probably the dinner table. So we picked that and we ran with it. But at the end of that conversation, he said, "Chris, you can't chase two rabbits at the same time. They'll both get away. Focus equals growth." And we live in a world that's filled with so many options and a la carte and you can have whatever you want. This is Burger King. You can have it your way. We have a great propensity to multitask. But I think the talent of the future is centered around art and experience and monotasking. So focus equals growth and aim small. And just, you may not, Bill Gates says you may underestimate what you can do or you may overestimate what you can do in a year, but underestimate what you can do in a decade. If you keep doing one thing and you keep doing it well, maybe one day you'll wake up and be the best in the world at what you do. And that's what's most important in life, because we're not living a life based on our resume. We're here to live a life based on our legacy. That's the purpose that you're here at this conference, to learn about your leadership and to broaden the vision of what you can impact this world, right? You're not watching these things in order to make more money. You're watching these things in order to impact more people in a positive mental attitude. And that's an honor to be in front of. What are some tactical things you can do to bring gratitude into your daily life at work? We look at three things. One, give gratitude to that client who cancels. The world is going through a tough time, a lot of lost revenue because other businesses can't afford your services. If a client cancels on you or decreases their wallet size with you, say thank you to them. Show them gratitude. Show them that you understand that they're going through a tough time as well. And if you build that lasting loyalty over the long run, they'll actually come back to you and spend more over time. They'll be more willing to pay premium for your services. You got that coworker, Bob and Sarah, Jeremy. They're working from home the same way that you're working from home. And they're just like 42% of Americans who have a 1.91 kids in the back corner of the Zoom screen, and your teammate fails to meet a deadline. This is the teammate that brought you the coffee every day and the donuts on the Friday, and they're really a team player, but right now they're just going through a little bit of a tough time. Thank them. Tell them what they mean to you. Show them that gratitude. Yeah, it sucks to miss a deadline, but it's all right. It's just business. The empathy you show for your peers, and peer-to-peer gratitude is the greatest tool for retention, innovation, creativity, and trust that you could ever imagine. My biggest fuck up as a leader dates back to August 2nd of 2018. I just landed after an 11-hour flight to Tel Aviv, Israel, and I was part of a 40-person excursion, a group of community builders that were selected by the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Family Foundation to go over and learn leadership. The first thing we did was we went out to the sea, and our facilitators handed us all rope and logs and barrels, and they pointed out at the ocean and they said, build a raft and paddle it out there and turn around and come back, and the quickest team to do it wins. So here we were in subdivided groups of 8 and no instructions. Well, I grew up as a junior Olympic sailor, so I'm good with knots and I'm good with my hands. And we had people placing the logs and people placing the pontoons and doing all those things. I grabbed the rope and I went around tying every knot on that freaking vessel. And I tied those knots so tight, and I used my hands so strong. And we got on the boat and paddled out, and we came back and we got in second place. But I looked down at my hands and they were fully covered in blood. And I couldn't use my hands for the rest of the trip. And what I learned is that that's my deficit as a leader. I'm willing to dive into any challenge to my own detriment, white knuckling my way forcibly into a solution. And I realized in that moment that I have a difficult time asking for help, or I had a difficult time teaching others what I know. I could have easily delegated and taught 10 people how to tie a knot, and we probably would have won the race. Now, as we got back to America and as we've grown our company, I've realized that leadership is a two-way street. Yes, you have to be a generous leader giving in order to uh, empower your team to be the best that they can be, but you also have to be humble enough to ask for help when you need it. There's no such thing as asking for too small of a task from anybody at any level of the organization. A CEO asking for an intern's help, an intern asking for a CEO's help, and that goes back to the humility that comes through gratitude. So I'm honored to have received that fuck up earlier in my career, and I'll never make that mistake again. So how do we reflectively make sure that we don't fall into the same traps as before? It goes back to what Cynthia allowed her team to do after the recent virtual gratitude experience, is to actually create space to think, right? As an entrepreneur, as a leader, you're oftentimes down in the weeds putting out fire. That's not what business is all about, right? It's not about running something, it's about owning it, right? As an entrepreneur, I know a lot of the people on this call are probably saying, oh, I can't wait to fire myself as CEO. I can't wait to have a passive income while someone else runs my company, that kind of thing. But I realized recently, I've got a digital habits coach named Tommy Sobel, who founded a company called Go Brick Now. And he at one point identified that in the 6 hours that I spent on my phone every day, 3 of it used to be mindless scrolling. 3 hours of productivity, checking email, doing that stuff, 3 hours of mindless scrolling. And that's close to 1,000 hours a year. So just the idea of changing that one little habit, a 3 hour a day bad habit, has given me recently the time to think bigger picture and to reflect on previous mistakes.